Well, these are all belt looped up and ready to have snaps, eyelets, and rivets put on them. But we have a problem. As you can see, in these piles of stuff, we have eyelets. We have plenty of chrome eyelets. We have plenty of brass eyelets. We have plenty of black eyelets. We have some black snaps, some brass snaps, and plenty of chrome snaps. There's another box over there like this one. We have plenty of black rivets, a reasonable amount of brass rivets, and no chrome rivets. So, what do we do? Well, all of the metal on those three is going to have to be black and brass. This is going to be fun. I have enough to do one with the brass snaps, so we'll have one in brass. I might be able to squeeze two out of the black for snaps. That's the problem here. If I had chrome rivets, hell, I could do the whole roll. Okay, I'll lay one of those out and show you what I need on each one. So, the apron is going to be laid out something like this, with rivets on one side and snaps on the other. As you can see, we need a minimum of 7. And that doesn't include pockets. What do we have here? We have at least 2 more, so we can have 2 single button pockets. And I think that might be it. No, we'll have 1 extra. So that's it for the front. Let me show you the back. This is roughly the plan for the back. And we do have plenty of brass eyelets. So we'll do 1 in brass, and it looks like the other 2 are going to be black. I'm going to have to count the snaps that we have for black before I'll know for certain. Well, let's do that. I count up what we have, and you've seen me put in eyelets, and you've seen me put in snaps, and I think you've seen me put in rivets. Yeah, you've seen me put in rivets too. So I don't have to show you that. But the logistics of this, that's the fun part. Okay. So we've got a set of 10 here. That's enough for 1 for snaps. We have 1, 2, 4 more in here, I think. Yeah. So that's 14. That's enough for 2. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we've got some in there too. We might have enough to do 1 more in black after the fact. Oh, this is going to be great. So I'll start hammering stuff in and show you when I got one of them put together completely. Because after this, all we got to do is make pockets. But got to make sure there's enough snaps to do all the pockets. Okay, I'll get started on that. Something that does have to happen here with the situation with the snaps and rivets and eyelets. So a lot of the time, well, it's a stretch material and it's 1 layer in a lot of places. So we're going to have to reinforce it from the back, make it not visible to the outside of the garment, but make the rivets and snaps and eyelets a little stronger. So what we're going to do is use leather washers. I got a chunk of white leather here. This is easy. Just cut them into pieces, and then punch a hole in each one, depending on the size of what's going into it. So we just need that piece of leather, straight edge, and a knife. Or in this case, a roll knife. We'll make them about 3/4 of an inch wide. That's starting to come loose. I'm going to tighten that up. We're going to need a lot of these, so start out here. Let's cut some strips. And we're going to cut those into little squares. And again, as far as my measuring, each one of these squares is 1 inch. This is 1 1/4 inches. So if I line it up on that line, line this up on this line, what's left out the end is 3/4 of an inch. Makes it easier. There's always a way to measure everything. One of the things that's interesting about learning math as a kid is I had to learn fractions. And how to translate fractions into decimal, into percentages. It's an interesting, change going from one to the other. But you remember and memorize things like 4% is 1/25th, like things like that. 5% is a 20th. All sorts of just garbage that you're never going to use for anything. Unless you end up doing sewing or engineering or something like that. Let's do this last one here. Same thing again, we'll line them up this way and then cut them into little squares. But what I'm going to do is make a bunch of those. Well, let's cut one for you here. Three-quarter inch square. Take a bunch of these, you punch a hole in them, and it becomes a washer. You put that as an extra layer of material on the back of the rivet or eyelet or whatever, or snap, and it, keeps it from tearing out of the single layer of fabric you're putting it on. So that's the point of that. Once I got a bunch of those cut up and ready to go, every time I punch a hole in the garment, I'll also punch one of these to correspond with it. Okay, show you when I got stuff starting to go together. Hammering. So back one of these all laced up now. In black. Not bad. Looks good. Front's going to be more fun, but do the back of the other two. The other one in black and one in brass. Ta-da. Unless, yeah, you got antique brass for some of them. Not many. A few of them there, but yeah, Maybe I'll do that instead of the shiny brass. But I'll do the other two up, and then I'll show you when I've started on the fronts. Okay, so I got the rivets in on the right-hand side. So as you can see, that's what it's going to look like on the brass. Eyelets run on the back, everything's good. Next step, it's already, this is easy mark and measure. For the 4 snaps there, it's already marked for the 3 snaps here. Yeah, 4 snaps there, easy to measure. 3 snaps here are already marked. What I got to do is pin either side of that space, then bring it over there and punch a hole in it. And I'll show you on the back of these, where it's only going through 1 layer of fabric at one point here. See, it's going through 2 on the apron, only 1 here. So I put one of those leather rivets on there, and that reinforces it enough that it doesn't tear through the fabric. Here, it's going through the seam. It's going through like, well, let's see now, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 layers of fabric here. It's only going through 1, reinforce it. These two, it's going through 2 layers on the apron, 2 layers on the waistband. There. So I don't need to reinforce those. So it's just these ones, I reinforce them. And yeah, and have a lot of extra leather rivets around. So I'll fold that back over. I'll pin everything in place where it's supposed to line up. And you can now see more or less what it's going to look like. I'll pin everything in place where it's supposed to line up. I'll punch the holes in it. And then I'll start putting the snaps in. And you've seen me do that before, so it doesn't matter for shit. Okay, I'll show you when that's done. I put the posts on one side, obviously. Reinforced them where I had to with the leather washers. I think, no, I put them on the right way. I put the caps on the other side. Let's fold this over. I'll show you what it's going to look like. All together, all told, all in one piece. All with one hand, which is a pain in the dick. We got that corner down, we got that corner down, get that corner up. Not going to snap them on. Just going to do that. There. So that's basically what it's going to look like. So like that. Looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to do that to these other two. All the snaps, all the rivets, all the closures. And then we'll be moving on to pockets, which is the next step and probably the last step. Okay, talk to you next time.